Welcome. What is going on? Welcome to the show. This is The Lab. I'm your host. Joshua Diaz. Good to be here. Good to see you. Good to see you. How is it going? It is 6:31 on the West Coast. Good to be here. Let's take a look at who we got. Pepsi Girl, Beautiful Chaos, Ronnie, Redding, Amanda, Liplock, Linda, Starry Night, LS, Cream Puff. Let's see, Mimi J2, good to see you. It is very, very good to be here. Good to see you. What is going on tonight, everybody? How are you doing? I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. It's great to be here, as always. And before we get started, please hit that like, share, subscribe button, please. It is so appreciated, and it helps in a major way. So it is so good to see you guys, and we'll go ahead and get started. I don't know. So two things since everybody always asks about Otis, I'll just tell you right now. He had a very busy day. He had a consultation to get neutered. He's upset, whatever. He's going to have to get over it. But he did learn a trick that we had been working on, and now he's completing that trick all by himself. It's amazing. He's a brilliant little guy. But the fact of the matter is, he is upset that he is going to have the old snip snap. You know, what are you going to do about it? He's got it. He's too hyper. And so, I know he's not that happy about it, but you know, those things happen. Yeah, those things happen. See. No. Okay, so Kara says, I saw you. Look, so the video that I posted about Otis was me prepping him for things to come. He wasn't that happy about me prepping him, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. He's got to be ready for it. Snip, snap, you know. It was, yeah. Show my hair. Absolutely not. Anyway, so let's go ahead and just get into the topic of conversation tonight. And, you know, we all have anxiety. We all have some form of, you know, look, anxiety is a part of life. Depression is a part of life. Happiness is a part of life. And, you know, it's the unfortunate part of life. Now, as unfortunate as it is, and it can be that way, no question about it. You know, you can experience anxiety without having to suffer from it. There's a difference between, you know, suffering and you know, there's a difference between suffering with anxiety, and there's a difference between living with anxiety. We spend our lives trying to get rid of the anxiety instead of learning how to deal with it. And if you are a human and a decent person, most of the time you're going to experience some form of anxiety. I mean, that's just the long and short of it. I'll tell you that. So, the people who don't suffer from anxiety are psychopaths, narcissists, things like that, because they don't care about their actions that or affecting anybody else. They don't think what's going to happen. They don't care what's going to happen. They could care less. They care less about, what happens from their actions. They don't care. They don't care about that stuff. And so, basically your anxiety is what you're talking about is it's you having awareness. Okay. And I see Mimi J2 says, I worry too much. We're going to talk about that tonight as well, because that is a part of anxiety. That's a part of the human condition. Okay. And if you think about it, is anxiety truly a bad thing, or is it a regulator of one's self-awareness? Now, we all have anxiety. Like, okay, I got to get up in the morning. I have a meeting in the morning. I got to make sure I get up. I got to be at the airport. I got to get to the airport tomorrow. Okay. And I can't be late. Those are normal things to be anxious about. And so it's not always, anxiety is not always a bad thing, but we do notice it when it's uncomfortable or debilitating. That is when we really focus in on that anxiety. And that is where it becomes an issue. And we'll come back to anxiety because it all kind of ties in. When you're anxious, it really, if you really, really, really think about it, okay? Have you ever just wondered outside of yourself what worrying about something you have no control of does to help your situation? Now, if you're worrying about things that you can't control, that is human nature. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about it. But think about it. It does nothing. If you can't control it, but you let it control you by overthinking it, where do you go from there? It does nothing, and it only makes you feel worse. Some worry is okay. It happens. Now, on the other hand, people, another emotion that we talk about is happiness or being happy. And if you think about happiness, it is really the result of something that has happened, an action that has happened, and it results in you being happy. It's a temporary feeling. Feeling happy is extremely temporary. And there is a major difference between happiness and joy. So, like I said, being happy is a result of an action. And then you search for that feeling. And when you're constantly searching for that happy feeling, you're going to be let down. But joy is a constant. Think about that. Joy is a constant. It's a state of mind. Okay. That's what That's what joy is. It's a constant, it's a state of mind. You can have joy in your life constantly. Joy and happiness are much different. And fear and anxiety go hand in hand. Here is where the rubber really meets the road. Fear and anxiety go hand in hand, but and you can fear the consequences of your actions. One thing that people, especially around here, and just in general, deal with is the truth. People have loose interpretations of the truth, and there is only one way to interpret the truth, right or wrong, or a lie or truth. What it's there's no middle ground, and a lot of what we see is just a lot of lying. Okay. And I'm telling you that when you live your life that way, you will deal with fear and anxiety. And you can fear the consequences of telling the truth. But you have to live for the truth. You have to be able to die for the truth. Because if you don't live for the truth, the consequences of that are far greater than you telling the truth and worrying about what the consequences of you telling the truth are. Lying, deception, those things you should be much more worried about. You have to live for the truth. And once again, we really struggle with that. I see it more and more every day. And it's really, really tough to deal with it. I get it. I understand. And you will not fix yourself overnight. And you can't look at life as just this whole massive thing that's in front of you. You cannot live your life that way. It doesn't work. I've tried. It's day by day. It's brick by brick. Think about if you're going to build a brick wall that's a mile long and say it's 20 feet high. That's a daunting task. That is a majorly daunting task. But you can't think of it that way. The way to think about that daunting task is what? The first brick. You got to start with the first brick. Okay? And when you lay that brick, you lay it as the best that you can. Make sure that nobody has ever laid a brick quite as well. Don't rush it. You have another brick to lay right after that, but don't rush this brick. Make sure it's correct. Make sure it's square. Make sure it's cemented. Okay? Make sure it's the best that you possibly can. And you're going to need a lot of bricks. But it starts with just one. And eventually, after it feels like you've been doing, all you're doing is laying bricks day after day, you're going to look up and you will see what is the start of your wall. Because it's not just one single brick. You started with one brick. And if you feel that your anxiety or your fears are keeping you down and you avoid those situations, it's all about taking the first step just in life. One step, two steps, three steps. And if you got to take a step back, you still have those two steps. You still have them. You can always stop and go forward. Because the instant gratification, when we're talking about instant gratification, that's just not ideal. It's ruined how we think. If you want to watch a movie, you log on to Netflix. If you want something and you can't find it at the store, all you do is order it on Amazon. It's here tomorrow. But learning how to become the best that you can be is a lifelong journey. It's brick by brick by brick. That's what it is. All of these emotions that we all feel, anxiousness, depression, anxiety, fear, they're all normal. But it is not normal for them to rule our lives. You are a stronger person than you will ever give yourself credit for. If you don't understand how resilient a human is, wait till you're put in a situation where you have to prove it. Just wait. And you will be amazed at what you're capable of. There are so many people here in this room watching this right now and going, I have all of those things. Josh, my life is hard. I know. And I understand. I get it. But there is a way out. And it starts with your mind. There are times when you feel like you're having, say, an anxiety attack or overwhelming anxiety. When you have this overwhelming anxiety and you have had this happen before, the first step that you should take is, this is what you say to yourself. I have had this feeling before. I have had this feeling before. And I was okay then. And I'm going to be okay now. I was okay then. I'll be okay now. This is not the first time that I've had this happen. I'm okay. I'm okay. Your house is not your safe place. You are your safe place. Inside of you, you are your safe place. You understand? You've had this happen before. Your house, your bedroom, your bed is not your safe place. It's not. You are your safe place. And the sooner that we can understand that, the better it is. It is a hard thing to understand. It's the hardest thing to understand. And as you look around and you read the chat and you go, oh my gosh, there are so many others that are just like me. Then you start to go, I am not crazy. I am not a weirdo. I am not what I've been thinking that I am. No, you're human. You're a human. And that is our biggest mistake. We cannot always control how we think, because there are thoughts that come into your mind and you go, I don't want these there anymore. But unfortunately, they're there. It's how you deal with them. It's how you deal with them. Panda B says, I made my house my safe place and it became unsafe. I felt so lost in limbo of terror. I was forced to realize objects cannot be my safe place. Your mind is your safe place. Your mind is your safe place. My breathing's tight. My heart's beating too fast. Have you had this feeling before? Yes, I certainly have. Yes, I certainly have. And what happened last time? I was okay. Amen. You'll get through it. I promise you. You may not be able to get rid of the anxiety, but you can learn to deal with it. Once again, you can experience anxiety without having to suffer from it. And it all starts day by day. You make your goals, you make short-term goals, and you make long-term goals. And the long-term goals are ones that you manifest, that you water, you sow the seeds. You sow the seeds of that long-term goal. Then the short-term goal, such as I'm going to, let's just for example, I'm going to drink more water today than I did yesterday. And by the way, drinking water is a huge, huge help when it comes to anxiety, depression, overthinking. It's your life source, water. So think about that. So my main little goal today is to drink more water than I did yesterday. I'm going to go, and I'm going to go an hour, or I'm going to go for a 5-minute walk today, a 7-minute walk tomorrow, a 10-minute walk the next day, and so on and so on. And these little goals start to become this bigger picture. And dreams without goals are just dreams. You can dream as big as you want. You can think that the world is yours, and it can be. But dreams without goals are just dreams, and that breeds disappointment. You've all heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Hard work works. And in the fast-paced world that we live in, don't confuse movement with progress. You can run in place all day and get nothing done. We don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Hard work works. Because it does. The thing about me is I'm not some crazy, super talented genius. I'm none of those things. I am just somebody who engages in his life because I've had no choice other than to try to overcome or be overtaken. And so what I did was I chose to try to be proactive when it comes to who I am, what I'm capable of. And sometimes, obviously, I don't get to where I'm wanting to go. But what makes me me, and I can tell you this right now, what makes me me is I'm resilient. I don't give up. I don't take I don't take that door closed so all of them are closed. I keep going on. I keep knocking. There is nothing too big for me to take on because I know that it starts with one brick at a time. One brick at a time. We don't plan to fail. We fail to plan. Hard work works. Being resilient has gotten me far. Talent you're born with. Skill you have to work at. And every craft that I've ever done, I've worked at as hard as anybody. I'm constantly working. Constantly. Because I know that just like you, time is limited and I don't have the time to waste. There are things that I want to do. There are things I want to show you through my work. There are things that I want to tell you before I can't tell you them anymore. And maybe you can take these and pass them on if in some way they apply to you. I want you to take what you want from what I'm telling you or leave what you don't want and apply it to your life. That's how I've done it. I surround myself with the best, who I feel are the best for me to be around. That's who I get my cues from. And at the same time, I have always wanted to help my fellow sufferer, I guess, for lack of a better term, victims. People who can't speak for themselves anymore. People who are too scared to speak for themselves, because I understand I was there. I've been there. I've been there. I know what it's like to have debilitating anxiety and fear. I know what it's like, but I also know what it's like to fight it. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot more joyful. It is a lot more joyful fighting back than giving up. I feel so much more purposeful when I am fighting back. I feel like fighting is all we can do. Because I'm not going to let myself get rolled over on by in life when all these other people who aren't half of what you are, who don't have the heart that you have, the soul that you have, the understanding that you have, live a guilt-free life, anxious-free. Can you imagine if you acted the way that some of these people do just in general in life, and you go, oh my God, look at what they're doing. And the self-awareness, I'm not even going to say names. I'm just saying that people get, and they just pontificate and yap and come up with these, they're so out of touch. They're so out of touch. Quitting is not an option. Quitting is not an option. Surrendering is not an option. Because we are better than that. Everybody that's here and that is listening, and that is, can you imagine a world without anxiety? You might think that that sounds fantastic, but I'll tell you what, if it weren't for anxiety, there wouldn't be people in this chat right now or watching this from wherever you're watching it from. The reason that you're here is because this resonates with you. That's why you're here. That's why I'm talking to you about it, because I know how real it is. And one day, hopefully, as much emphasis is put on mental health as it is physical health, because they go hand in hand. Your mind is so powerful, and it can betray you in the worst of ways. And I hate that. I used to watch my sisters. My sister developed panic attacks at a pretty young age. And I would watch as it was the most terrible thing, because I didn't understand them. I was very young. And when she would have a panic attack, I mean, she would flat out, she would hyperventilate. Sometimes she'd pass out. Um, and it was draining. It was, and you could hear it was just a whole thing, you know? It was a whole thing. And it killed me. It killed me. And Amanda says, I have to tell myself it can't rain forever, over and over again. Thank you for this important topic, Josh. Making this a safe space. And it always is, and it always will be a safe space. Always. But I would watch her do that, and it killed me. It broke my heart. And I never understood it until I got older. And I remember just thinking, I would just say to myself, I don't want to watch her do this anymore. I'll do it. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't. I remember one time she had one so bad, and I, she was sitting on her bed up against the wall, and I got a cold rag while she was hyperventilating. I was dabbing her face off. You know, I remember. And she passed out. And this would have been the first time she passed out. I mean, she went limp. She went. And I was so scared. I remember I went, wake up. And it brought her, and it brought her back. And I remember I was crying. And I learned, I learned how to kind of deal with it with her. And my calm presence was much more helpful than my panicked presence. As much as I was trying to help, I was probably making it worse, not intentionally, but she needed somebody to be there to say, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You've had this happen before. You've had this happen before. You're going to be okay. And that's what she needed from me. And eventually that's what I learned to do. And eventually she stopped having those full blown panic attacks. And if, say, today she is feeling anxious or overwhelmed, which still happens to her, she calls me. She says, can you talk to me? I'm having anxiety, Josh. And I said, absolutely. Of course I can. And she would say things like, I'm going to come over. I don't feel good. I'm having anxiety. And I would say, please, come on. It's okay. And she would. She'd come right over. She still does it to this day. She needed a calm, soothing person. And I learned how to do that. The same thing with my son when he would have seizures. Panicking did not help the situation. What helped the situation is keeping your head about you and making sure that everything's going to be okay. Because it is. I'm not telling you that. I wouldn't just tell you that. Trust me, it feels like a lot of the times it doesn't feel like it's going to be okay, but it is. All bad things, they say all good things come to an end. Well, we can make the bad things come to an end too. You make the bad things go away too. Remember, when you have that issue, when you have those feelings, when your chest is tight, you have a lump in your throat and your heart's beating too fast, you say to yourself, I've had this happen before. I'm going to be okay. Because it will be. And I can tell you it's going to be okay because I've came from the depths of where it wasn't okay. And my house, where my children live, is a safe place where they know that it's going to be okay, where they can come and tell me that they are having issues. I'm upset. I'm scared. I'm overthinking. And I say, it's okay. Let's talk about it. I've had this feeling before. I'm going to be okay. Debbie says, I also learned to ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? You won't die. I feel personally that there are many other things to be more, there's a lot more things to be fearful of than death. I know that that is most people's, that's what most people are scared of. And like everybody else, I mean, we all have some trepidation about that. We all have some trepidation about that. We all are scared. But you have to live before you can die. And not living is scarier than dying. Being crippled by fear, that's worse. Being crippled by your own mind is much worse. I'm telling you that it is so true. Not everybody lives, but everybody dies. You got to understand, death is not what you should fear the most. It's very nice of you to say. That's funny. Helping people with panic attacks is a wonderful gift you're giving. Thank you. You know, it's not so much um look, there's so many life lessons and along the way, and the best way to gain life experience is to just live it. It's also nice if you can have somebody to talk to about it. That's always very helpful. But when you're having say a panic attack or an anxiety attack, or you're just anxious, uh the crazy thing about anxiety is that it is a mental problem, regulating in your head, but it does have real physical consequences. That's the major problem. So not only does it have this debilitating effect on your life, but it also can have over time physical demands. It can take a lot out of you. It can take a lot out of you. And if you don't know how to regulate that, it becomes hard. And KPAS 2525 says, I'm so tired of life lessons. But what about the good ones? What about the good ones? Sky Chan, I'm sorry, we're not talking about that tonight. But thank you for being here. Manifestations. I thought you spelled that wrong for a second, but you didn't. Teresa says it's tiring and my husband doesn't understand. Well, he needs to, because that's not right. That's not right. Melissa. Melissa 1984 says, I'm quiet tonight. I'm just listening. You're right about mental health. It needs much more attention. People suffer in silence. And Teresa says the hard times help us to appreciate the good times that much more. I enjoy talking to elders and learning from them. They can bring strength and humility along with a lot of wisdom. My son, as they enter young adulthood, 17 and 18, they are starting to feel the effects of early adulthood, whether that be confusion or uh, um, their emotions playing with them. It's all there. And when you're there and life has just been taken care of for you, and then one day you're going, I'm staring down the pipe of life. And I understand people say life is short. That is true. It is short, but it's also a journey. So it can also be kind of long. That's why you have long-term goals. That's why you have short-term goals. That's why you have all kinds of different goals. That's why you save for retirement. And that's why you set up a life insurance policy. Miss Donna Marie. Yeah, feel free. Go ahead. Starry Night says, losing my 20-year-old son definitely taught me not to sweat the small stuff. I have already hurt the worst I've ever could. Nothing will ever be harder than what I've already survived. There's no doubt about it that no parent should ever have to bury their children. That being said, it happens, and it is. I can't think of anything worse. I saw my grandma do it with my mom. Uh, and I've known other people that have had to do it, and it's it's one of life's cruel lessons. Well, it's not even a lesson. It's just something that happens. It's just something that happens, and it's not fair. It doesn't make any sense. It's cruel, and it can hurt you. Dear Josh, anxiety is not a mental problem, it is physical. Well, I guess maybe, but if you want to really break down what anxiety is, it is very much a mental um, problem as well. It causes physical. Uh, serotonin in your brain is transferred from one gap to the next. That's what regulates your mind. And if you don't produce enough serotonin, you end up with anxiousness, panic, your regulator, your governing chip. You don't slow down. So the reason is that you're not producing enough serotonin in your mind. You tell me. I have a master's degree in psychology. It's physical. Well, if you have a master's degree in psychology, then you would know it's not all physical. It's not. It's not as physical as it is mental. It causes physical reactions. Flight or fight flight response is system in overdrive. Oh, he's a Debbie Downer. This is my favorite. How am I supposed to know if this person has a medical degree? As somebody that has that claims to be that, why would you just try and drop that on people? What would be the point of arguing that? I find that odd because I bet you most people would disagree with what you're saying. That's just kind of the you come in and say, "Oh, it's physical. It's only physical. Anxiety is only physical." Well, that's just not true. Anxiety is not physical. It's not just physical. It is a very, very real thing. And whether you yourself or whoever wants to say it's physical or mental, it's very real. It's very real. And it's kind of just mixed up in a pot of fear and doubt. It starts in the brain. It's a serotonin issue. That's where it all starts. Can there be physicality from it? I've already said that it definitely could, and that's the truth. It definitely can. All anxiety disorders are all physical. Anxiety caused by situations is mental. Say again. Okay, I'm reading this wrong. Anxiety disorders are all physical. Anxiety caused by situations is mental. I just, look, call it what you want. Say it how you want. I do not. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't necessarily agree with that. Cat says treatment is also a combination of many things too. Sometimes medication plus counseling. Yeah, look, the whole medication thing. I'm not I'm not gonna go into that. Obviously, you should talk to a doctor. But here's another thing about this: physicians, like general physicians, they're not necessarily they don't necessarily know how to treat anxiety. I mean, you have to go to school another 3 or 4 years to really become a behavioral expert. Um, and you know what? So you see you see a general physician. I think what the average is probably 8 minutes, probably about 8 minutes. They don't have a lot of time because they have to go from patient to patient, and they try their best to treat you, but it's really unfair for them to have to diagnose something in 8 minutes. How do you do that? You can't. So that's not really fair for them. It's not really fair for them. Barb says what I've heard is good diet, good sleep, and a little tiny bit of exercise makes a good baseline. No question about it. No question about it. Desert Sky. I mean, I look. You know, you can put whatever you want there, um, but you know, I've never seen you before, and I'm not going to just go on the fact that you say that you're some clinical psychologist. It's just not. It's just not. You're not going to fool me with that. Different things work for different people. Everyone is different. Did you go to a 6 year school for that one? Being someone with PTSD, anxiety, and depression, I will argue that it is caused by physical. Well, you can think what you want. You can argue that it is physical. It's really strange. I mean, I really, uh, really find it odd, but that's okay. Make it acceptable to talk about like you are now. Josh is important. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Now, mine causes physical and lack of. My physical symptoms stem from my mental. I have never heard that in my life. Why is therapy part of treatment? If there is, look, I know I see a psychiatrist for my anxiety. I I took I was in for 26 years, and I just went back year and a half ago. So I think I have somewhat of a grasp on what I'm talking about. Um, it's like saying crying is just physical. Yeah, crying causes tears, but emotion has nothing to do with it. Uh, Pretty funny. So childhood trauma causes a lot of anxiety. It's a touchy subject. Anxiety And da, 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 da. Yes, you do. Nervousness, truth. If anxiety was purely physical, the treatment it's not. It's not. That's just not true. It's not purely physical. It's not something that um, it's just not the truth. Trust me. Anxiety and depression started when I lost my husband and I lost a 16-year-old son 5 years later. Therapy affects your brain. Therapy is therapy, and it helps. And talking about things helps. And exercising helps. Eating right helps. Drinking water helps. Concentration helps. But to sit up here and come into a chat and say things that aren't true, like it's all physical, well, that's just not true. It's not true. That's not true. Not at all. It causes very, very real um, physical, like you can develop like an ulcer, or can make your heart beat fast, and there's a lot of things that it can cause. K-Paz couldn't take it anymore. K-Paz was like, you know what, dude, I can't. I'm gonna get an email from that one, but that's okay. Hormones are a factor too, no questions, no question about it. Hey, no, it's all good. I respect that. It's all good. It certainly is. There comes a point. She killed the vibe. Nah, she didn't kill the vibe. She didn't kill the vibe. She was killing the vibe. She was trying to. Was that the one that was the therapist? Emotions has nothing to do with it. Otis is good. He is nervous though about his upcoming neuteration. He's not that happy about it. It was killing my vibe. She gave bad info. Yeah, she claimed she had a master's. She threw off the groove with the master's degree. That's true. She did throw off the groove with the master's degree, but she was wrong, so no groove was thrown off. She's wrong. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong. Um. Oh, what happened? Uh, Josh, I don't know your background, but I feel like you come from a place of knowledge, from experience. Mimi J2. I come from the gutter. I come from below sea level, unfortunately. So I think that I do, and I have also studied psychology. Um, I don't have a master's. That's a fact. I definitely don't have a master's. But like I said, I came from way down. I do have a master's in iced coffee. It's a shame some have experience. My pup was neutered Friday. He was getting rude. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now with old Odie Pody. He's the sweetest little thing I ever seen. I love him to death. Um, he's so cute, and I can't wait to give him the old snip snap. They told I when I went to get his ears cleaned. Let's see. The other day we got his ears cleaned, his nails clipped, and they said, "Oh, look, um, Otis is ready to be neutered." And he looked at me like, "Bro, come on, don't do this to me." And I looked at him. I looked him right in the face. I said, "It's happening. It's happening." He's not pumped about it, but I don't care. It was written in his destiny. The straw struggle is real, KP Bass. The straw struggle is the most real. Um, Honestly, regardless if you have a degree or not, what makes you educated is how you walk through the fire. Well, absolutely. I agree with that as well. Experience outweighs knowledge and degrees, is my opinion. Do the right thing, Otis. Yeah. We're trying to do the right thing. He wants to do the right thing. He's scared to do the right thing. He's scared, you know. What are you gonna do? You know, it's not every day that this happens. So, but it's happening, and it's gonna happen in a major way. Um, the Otis video makes me happy, but he still is shaking. Like he's learned how to shake. It's pretty amazing, to be honest with you. He's something else. Josh, good show. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. Let me see here. Poor widow Otis, but he will be happier. I, I hope so. I hope I'm happier too. We do have the best chat. You know, that was funny. I made that post the other day. Um, we have the best chat in all of YouTube. And that's a fact. And I thank you guys so much for being here and supporting me. And hopefully, I am bringing something to you of value. It really does. It really means a lot. It really means a lot when you guys show up for me. And I'm happy to be here with you people that are so supportive. This is therapy for me as well as it is for you. The support that we can give each other is invaluable, but we have to be kind and courteous, and we have to love each other and understand each other. And it's not always easy, and we don't always agree on everything. That's totally fine. If some people feel that it's more physical for them or mental for others, I'm not going to argue with you. It is all the same. At the end of the day, we are all people just trying to get through life one day at a time, brick by brick. Remember the brick by brick. It's important. Noel says, yes, beautifully timed as always. It's comforting to be reminded we fight to be strong from time to time. Fight. You got to fight. It's okay to fight. It was so needed today. Look, it's been on my mind. Trust me, it certainly has. Miss Sturry says, "You're a good man, Josh. Much love and respect. Also to you. I want to play with your hair." Sometimes those are effective. 100% needed today. I was a captain in the USAF. I served for 25 years. I was a flight nurse during Vietnam. I couldn't get myself together mentally. I was full of anger, so I went to a psychiatrist. Dot dot dot. Thanks, Josh, for fantastic people. I feel better. Had a cry, washed my soul. Didn't know I needed to cry. See you next time. We will see you next time. Be kind. You pick my mood up. Yes, put the hat back on. I feel like a dirty old lady. There's always tomorrow's. Yes. Thank you guys for being here. I'm your host. Be kind and rewind. That means, and shout out to the replay crew. Anybody that watches this on replay, thank you so much. And everybody that was here for the live, thank you so much. Just thank you for being here. As always. On behalf of No Big Deal Productions, The Lab, I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. It's been an honor to be here tonight. You guys have a nice night.